Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. It's Friday. You know what that means. Front Office Friday! Keith doesn't know he's on mute edition. Let's go.
Oh, my.
It's our first.
Oh, no.
First time that's ever happened.
Again.
Friday.
Because they did Front Office Friday. G League Opening Night Edition.
G League Opening Night Edition.
My mic unplugged and then it.
When you plug it back in, it automatically mutes. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. It's Friday. Yeah. We're all good. This is what happens with live TV sometimes, but we'll just make it up on the fly.
Hey, what does this mean? What does WSG mean?
I don't know.
Somebody tell the old guys in the chat what that means.
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah. I see it all the time, but I don't know. Hopefully it's nothing bad.
Yeah. The chat's not even going to say what's good. That's what I was thinking it must be. What's good?
But
it's what's good.
It's just WG. I don't know.
What's good? Okay.
I mean, the S isn't even like that's a contracted is.
Yeah. What is good?
I don't know, guys.
Like that.
This show's off to a banger of a start.
We're off to a great start here.
Come on, get some basketball questions. Load them up in the chat so we can get going.
Actually, I do have something.
All right, let's do it.
Really, really positive that I want to get into here. And I'm sure you saw it too. The NBA announced it this morning that NBA viewership is way up to start the season. In fact, okay, here it is. Here's the NBA's official NBA communications tweet about this. And I want to get your thoughts on why this is, because this is up 92% year over year, the most viewers in 15 years through the first 2 weeks of the season. Keith, why is the NBA up 92% in viewership year over year this season?
I think some of it has to be that it's on NBC.
Yeah.
And it's on like very accessible. All you need is an antenna, right? To watch NBC. Anyone can watch NBC. So I think that's gotta be a big part of it. I think the matchups have been pretty good to open the year. I don't know, but this is great news, right? It's great news that people are this excited about the season.
I think some of it too, not all, and it's not going to be just one factor here with something like this, but starting the year off with multiple double overtime games. We've had a lot of close games, some exciting stuff going on. NBC streaming it on Peacock, everybody having Prime, all that. So to me, when we look at this, we've got a situation where a lot of people were questioning, is this the right thing for the NBA to get involved with streaming? And now, we've got to go through all these different portals to see NBA games. And is that going to create problems and all that? The early results are no, it's not a problem at all. Yeah. In fact, it's a very, very good thing for the league.
Yeah, people are finding it also helps. It's not a Dodgers-Yankees World Series, right? Like that was Adam Silver talked about that last year. Like they knew a lot of people pulled away because that's your two biggest TV markets where they're, huge baseball fans that were probably watching baseball on some of the nights instead of basketball. So I think that's part of it as well.
I don't recall the exact numbers, but as somebody who's pretty locked into the World Series, I thought this was a very highly viewed World Series.
Nowhere near last year.
Game 7 and all of that.
Yeah, Game 7 was, but the series as a whole was nowhere near last year's.
Okay.
Yeah. It may be if you count in Canadian numbers, but they don't, right? Like that's the thing with all this. That's where like any of this, when the league talks about it and they want to spin it in a very positive way, they'll add the Canadian viewership into things with the Raptors and the like. So, if you did that, that goes, in a big, big way. But, so maybe it's actually down in Canada and they're not talking about that. I don't know. But
that's interesting.
The good news is we were worried, are people going to find the games? Are they going to know where to go? People are finding the games. And I think some of the stuff that they've done with the app and with League Pass, like online, where you just click on the box score and then you click watch and it'll take you right to it.
Yeah.
Or take you to how you can watch the game. I think that's huge. Like you just make it easy for people to find your stuff and they'll go watch. So
and like this commenter says, NBA viewership way up. Fans must love watching 66 free throws a game. We were all wrong about what people like. Well, look, when we see a lot of free throws in a game, that's not ideal. The Laker game the other night with the Spurs took 3 hours to get through the game.
Yeah.
Because of the number of free throws that were taken. That said, we're also seeing scoring up around the league, highlight plays every single night. Like, even if there were 20 free throws a game, there would be something to point to and go,
yeah,
but this is bad. There will always be something that will always, we can reach NBA utopia, and there will still be things to point to and say, this could be better, this could be better, this could be better.
Yeah.
Clearly, the free throws, the stop-start nature of all of that, it's not ideal. Is it something the NBA needs to work on? Yes, but obviously it is not prohibitive of getting people to tune in.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think there's also I have to wonder, just on the positive side, that Tuesday night NBC game that set the West Coast game starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, like that feels like that's more conducive to people actually being home to watch that game than any kind of earlier timing. And I have to wonder if that being in prime time is helping as well. I'm curious to see what is that pull on the West Coast versus what do you lose on the East Coast? So I'll be honest, I'm just watching that one in the morning. Like that's staying up till 1:30 or later to watch that's just not, like, I'm just going to be a mess the next day if I try to do that. So I'm going to, bail on those more often than not. But yeah, I really am curious to see, and that'll probably be a Christmas-ish. We'll probably get a better sense of how, like what are all these things looking like. But yeah, good news. I'm happy with it.
Great news for the NBA for sure. All right, everybody, we're going to get into.
Here's one.
Oh,
studio shows where they're actively discouraging viewers from liking the product. Yeah, that certainly doesn't hurt either.
It helps if you actually enjoy, if you're going to present the product, if you actually enjoy that product. You know what I mean? Like that tends to be a good thing as well.
Let's go here. Why doesn't the league remove back-to-backs and raise overall ticket prices to compensate for the difference? Like fans already, it's really expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think people want it to be even more expensive.
Essentially, you're taking, if that is the way that you go, so what you'd be doing is be taking a problem that the NBA has, right? And that's back-to-backs. One of my big pet peeves in the NBA is back-to-backs with travel. As somebody who doesn't sleep well on planes, I'm amazed that these guys can play at all the next night when they're traveling for 4 hours on a flight till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Then they go to hotel, sleep for a few hours, then go play another NBA game less than 24 hours after already playing one. I don't think that's conducive to quality basketball, and I also think it does increase your injury risk. However, the problem they've run into with the back-to-backs is the solutions are extend the season. Okay, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to take away some of their summer. They believe from the players' side and the NBA side, the offseason is already short enough. From my side, it is way too long. But from the player side, the offseason is short enough. Or do you want to remove games, which means removing revenue, which means everybody makes less money. Nobody wants to do that.
Which means no.
Which means no. Nobody wants to do that either. So the solution here that Menace is coming up with, though, is taking the problem that's being presented by all of this and fixing the monetary side of it by putting the burden onto the fans themselves. And I don't think it should be on the fans to solve that particular NBA problem.
Yeah, agreed. Just extend the season for 2 weeks. The NBA learned with the bubble, like people are not looking, even when we were dying for sports, people weren't looking for basketball in July and August. Like they just weren't. And that's probably not going to be a thing. The players don't want their off season shortened anymore. You run into all kinds of issues where it becomes that's running into Olympics and World Cup and other things and all that stuff. You could maybe cut into the preseason. Your issue there is just be a little careful if you don't want those early couple of games becoming the pseudo preseason where it's like, well, we're just gonna play guys, 25 minutes tonight because they're not quite ready to go. So yeah, that's a just be careful what you wish for with that one.
Sure. Yeah, there's going to be unintended consequences, which we talk about a lot on this show, with just about anything that you're going to do around the NBA, and that includes CBA moves and all of that. Keith, I don't know how to respond to this. My girl said, "Why is Trevor always on? I'm tired of hearing Trevor. He's on when I go to sleep and when I wake up. Trev, I need advice." I mean, my first thought is, I mean, are you sure she's the one?
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
Get a new girl.
Yep. Right. Yeah, I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Or tell her she's going to change her sleep schedule. She needs to be up when you sleep.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. I mean, yeah. I don't know what else to tell him. Wear headphones.
That's probably the easier solution than
your new girl. She's not the one for you.
Just break up with her.
Yeah. She's not the one. Oh, chat's getting spicy.
Whoa, no.
For a Friday afternoon. We're not going to pull that comment up.
No, I'm not pulling that comment up.
We'll save that for a late night edition of Front Office Show.
My wife is not on board with that. That'll be if we're really down bad in the viewership.
Yeah. Front Office late Saturday night.
Late Saturday night. All right.
Oh man.
Billy said the trade Braun crowd in the media breaks my brain. I will admit, Keith, I don't spend some of it is out of time, but I don't spend a lot of time, on NBA media, especially at the national media level. I'll bounce around as much as I can, but I've got my particulars that I go to, and they are largely not, the Zach Lowe's of the world are largely not the ones like saying, you have to trade LeBron. Essentially, it's the hot take folks that I tend to not pay too much attention to.
Is that out there? Like
I see fans doing that, but LeBron has a very vocal chorus of haters, right?
Yeah.
And so when there's an opportunity to say something negative about LeBron, they obviously will jump on it. So right now it's a lot of, well, see, the Lakers don't need LeBron. See, they should trade him. See, get rid of him. All that kind of stuff is out there. But I expect that from fans. I haven't seen a lot of that from the media personally.
Yeah, I haven't either. And I'd be like, this is going to sound like gatekeeping. So I hesitate to even say it. Just be cautious of who you're calling media. Like to give it anybody can grab a mic and a camera and have a podcast. Like that doesn't necessarily make them media, right? Like, so I'd just be cautious of that. Cause if it's, some random guy with 100 followers saying it, like, I don't know, that's a lot different than mainstream media coming out and saying it.
Sure. So, and I think we have to remind, being a salary cap based show, we have to remind people that LeBron James does have a no trade clause.
Yep.
So, I put out a tweet earlier today talking about, I know that conversation is going on. I was directing it at fans, but I know that conversation is out there, but I do think the Lakers need LeBron James, both from a talent perspective, as well as, just having more talent on the team, but also on the floor. I think he could fit in just great with this squad. But even if we did arrive at a place where we say, man, the Lakers just better without LeBron James, they need to move on from, he has a no trade clause. He controls that entire process. He would have to go to the Lakers and say, please trade me for anything to happen on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen unless there's somewhere he really wants to be. And if he does, then it'll happen. But otherwise, I think you're going to see him slot in. It is very funny. And I'm sure you're getting the same question all the time. I got asked it this week on multiple radio appearances. Like, how are they going to fit LeBron in when he comes back? It's LeBron James. Like, I think it'll be okay. I think they'll figure it out. I don't think he's going to show up and be like, all right, Luka, go stand in the corner for 40 minutes a night, like, while I let fly. So
exactly. Especially when we already saw it last season. He already he already made those adjustments last year. Keith, hey, I got a little bit of good news that just came out.
All right, let's go.
Okay. The Memphis Grizzlies have assigned Zach Edey and Gigi Jackson to the Memphis Hustle.
Yep.
So that's
the third time for
Zach Edey.
Yeah. Yep, third time for Edie to be there. So
that's exciting.
since we're doing apparently a weird version of the show, Jaylen Brown painting people's jerseys. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, but it I'll be honest, I didn't know. These are things I don't generally notice until Brian Scalabrine called it out on the Celtics broadcast. Have you seen this?
No,
It seems
what
like
is it that's happening? I don't understand. I've seen people. Jaylen Brown has popped up in my social media feeds enough for me to go, oh, there's something about Jaylen Brown,
Yeah.
but not enough for me to ever go down that rabbit hole and see what that thing is.
There's a little bit of Carlos Boozer eye black hair paint going on, maybe.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, the other night, Keyshawn George got in front of him and he fouled him, and he wears a white undershirt. Keyshawn George does, and when Jaylen Brown like brushed against him, there was a big black swipe on Keyshawn George's sleeve of his shirt. So I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll ask some people in Boston to do a little bit of investigative journalism.
This is the hard-hitting news that we need. We need to find out.
Jaylen Brown is playing great right now. So, I don't care. Do whatever you got to do. I don't, no matter to me. I'd be the last. Look at this is looking good up there. That's I'd be the last one to talk about when anything.
The hair gives him superpowers, apparently.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
All right, let's go here. D-Rock said, let's get the easy stuff out of the way. What team best fits Cam Thomas? Whichever team he signs with next summer. Should Sean Marks be fired and dream player fit for our 0.5 second basketball? I guess we'll start with the Cam Thomas of it all. I'm assuming D-Rock, as a Nets fan, is talking about wanting to trade Cam Thomas in order to get some type of return for him. But we do have to keep in mind that on a qualifying offer, he does have a no trade clause. So he can prevent any trade from happening if he so desires. So that would be important to remember as well. But basically, look, any team that could, well, here's the problem, Keith, and I'm crossing myself over right now. Here's the problem with Cam Thomas is that I would think that teams that were interested in trading for him to add him to their teams for this year, knowing his contractual situation, would say, we really need some scoring off the bench. But Cam Thomas's quest this year is to prove that he is not just a scorer off the bench. So I see a conflict there in what Cam Thomas's trade market would look like versus what he would actually want to have happen.
Yeah, now the good news is, even though he doesn't make a lot of money, the Nets are still sitting on cap space, so you could do a fairly imbalanced trade salary-wise, so that works out okay. I don't know, Houston came to mind for me as a team that could maybe use Cam Thomas. He's got I think he was there when Ime Udoka was still with the Nets as an assistant, so at least you have a little bit of experience. I'm kind of like bouncing through the rosters, and there are places that make sense, but it's exactly what you said. It's like, how are you going to keep him beyond this year? But I think if you're Cam Thomas, what you have to focus on is if it comes time for a trade, you go and you go there and then you play really good and handle free agency later. And you don't even worry at all about do they have the bird rights or whatever. You just kind of let me ball out and do my thing, and then we'll figure it out.
Everything else will take care of itself.
Exactly.
The fear in the pit of my stomach is that the Sacramento Kings would make that call. That would be the worst.
Would not surprise me.
That would be the worst. Should Sean Marks be fired? I think we're too early in this whole process to move on from Sean Marks. And I've seen, Keith, the idea that general managers, the best way to have sustainability with your job, to have job security, is to be in a rebuild, because you're not going to know whether you are right or wrong for a few years. And that, frankly, the lifespan of a GM in the NBA is not that long, similar to coaches, right? We think about the guys who have stuck long term, but it is wrapped up in all of this. We're too early in this process for the Nets to look at what Sean Marks has done and say, clearly you were wrong and we're moving on from you. We're not there yet. And so I think you need to let this process play out.
Yeah, exactly. I think you just, for Sean Marks, it's been pretty well reported on. He didn't necessarily really want to do the big go get KD and Kyrie. But the reality was he couldn't say no to that at the time
Right.
that they wanted to be Nets. So of course you were going to go in that direction. So I think that was now I think they're kind of giving him the chance of let's really let this play out and let's see how it goes. Dream player fit for a 0.5 second b-ball. I like it's hard because like most of those guys are really good players and you're not ready to add a really good player yet.
Yeah.
Like that's I think the challenge with answering that question.
Right. Right. I know it's tough when your team's in a rebuild and you're losing games and things don't look good and all of that, but be patient. Things get better. It's a process. Trust the process, and ultimately, I do think that the Nets' future is brighter now, certainly than it was just a few years ago.
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
We're not. So let me before we go to the next one. Let me grab this. We're not taking cheap shots at the Kings. It's just they've made a lot of questionable moves. Like and even the move to waive Isaac Jones to add Precious Achua. Why didn't you waive Doug McDermott? Like I get it. You didn't have, and ultimately Isaac Jones got claimed, so you didn't end up eating any money. But like, why are we like why wasn't that the move? McDermott doesn't play. He doesn't have any kind of role on that team. I don't know. Like, stop doing questionable stuff and we'll stop bringing them up to do more questionable stuff.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've any animosity I had towards Sacramento is long gone. It's been a long time since the Lakers and Kings have been anything close to rivals since the very, very early 2000. I mean, literally 2000, right? I take no joy in the Kings doing what we perceive to be dumb things, but it feels like to me they are trying to hang on to that one playoff run that they had recently. And I get it. They had 17 years missing the playoffs, but this roster doesn't make sense. They need to, I think, tear this thing down, but they don't want to do it because they don't want to go back into a rebuild. And I get it. It's not a fun place to be at, but I think it's actually setting themselves back. And that's just my opinion of the situation. That's not a cheap shot. I just don't think they've made smart moves.
Yep.
That's all.
Agreed. I agree.
All right. Let's go here. Pelicans and Grizzlies moving.
Yeah, I don't think so. Memphis, less likely. They just passed a bunch of stuff where they're going to give them a bunch of money to work on the stadium, the area around the arena, and work on a bunch of stuff there. They're trying to really redo that part of downtown Memphis. So I think they're good. I think they're okay. New Orleans is in a really rough spot. It's probably the worst arena in the league. Fan support has not been great as far as going to games and attendance wise. What's that?
It's a Saints town.
Too. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, it's tough because they haven't given them enough to cheer about consistently to really lock in and grab the fans, right? And be like, all right, now I'm here. I'm here all the time. Even if things go sideways, like I'm going to be here. Like it's all this like, all right, we got AD and we built it up. And then AD is gone. All right, we got Zion and we built it up. And now the team's back to not being good again. It's just all these stops and starts, and that's tough. So, it did surprise me when I wrote that article that I wrote for Spot Track about the Pelicans, how long they've been there now. It's been 24 years that they've actually been in New Orleans. If we go all the way back to when the Hornets initially moved. So, and there was a couple years where they split between there and OKC, but it's been a long time. But it is, I think, with them is if the arena situation will trump all. If that doesn't get either a ton of money to really overhaul and redo the Smoothie King Center or like build a new arena, they are going to be the next team that what you'll see is you'll start hearing about the NBA's putting pressure on them to sell and all these things. And then it'll be sold to a group that will relocate because NBA expansion, I don't know that it's coming quite as quickly as we once thought it might be. I think we talked about that. I think we talked about it last week on last week's Friday show. There's just been a little bit of a put the brakes on a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a while. Now, Adam Silver has consistently said, I do not want teams moving. I want 30 franchises healthy where they are. That's what we're focused on. And I do believe that.
Yeah.
And I do believe that's what all the other owners want, because nobody wants to be then have it thrown at them of like, well, now you're the next one to try to move. But we know how this works. They go against these teams, or these cities rather. Teams will be like, all right, well, maybe we'll just move off to where they will welcome us with open arms.
And if you're the NBA, Seattle and Vegas get expansion teams, all positive stories. Seattle and Vegas get the Grizzlies and the Pelicans, negative publicity coming out of Memphis, coming out of New Orleans, right? You've got all of that. You think about the Athletics leaving Oakland, all the stories that were involved in that. The Sonics moving the first time out of there's still people in Seattle, and rightfully so, livid at what happened in that creates the kind of negativity that you don't want. So I think it is far preferable to expand into Las Vegas and Seattle versus take teams away from other cities.
Yeah.
That said, there's work to be done in New Orleans, no question.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Right,
Somebody said, as a Thunder fan, I've seen people say move team back to Seattle. They're getting a new arena. They're not going anywhere.
No, they're not.
They are locked in there.
They're not. That's one of the Keith. I've driven through Oklahoma City once, and I'm driving through, and I'm like, man, this is beautiful. And that was just on a drive-through. I need to go check out a Thunder game in OKC.
Yeah, same.
That's on my list.
I've been there, but it was before the team was there, so it was like just my dad traveled a lot when I was a kid, and every school vacation we would just go meet up with him wherever he was. And one of them, he happened to be working in Oklahoma City, so we went and met up with him and did some stuff. But it was long before the Thunder were ever there.
Right. There was the Seattle Sonics still existed. Senpai said, "Why aren't the Suns playing their young guys?"
Assume he's talking about Kama Mawatch and like Rasheer Fleming. Mawatch is he's behind a lot of other bigs right now. Mark Williams is starting, and then the other center minutes are basically getting split between Oso Ighodaro and Nick Richards. So
also even played the 4 a little bit last night.
Yeah, like they're kind of going a little smaller with Jalen Green back. And there, Jalen Green came back, man. He was like
29 points.
Go. Yeah. They killed the Clippers last night. That wasn't even a game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't love the idea of taking Ryan Dunn out of the starting group, but Royce O'Neal has been playing fairly well. So I think the Suns are, for now, on November 7th, they're still trying to win games, right? They're trying to win games and put themselves in the mix to, get in the get into the Western Conference play-in picture, probably more so than playoff picture. And that means that the kids they're just not going to see a lot of time.
I think that's the root of it, Keith, is the Suns are not at a point where they are tapping out on the season. Once they get, if they are, I don't know, the 13 seed in the West, and it's past the trade deadline, it's February 24th or something. Okay, maybe they pivot at that point and they start really focusing on playing the kids and all of that. And maybe it happens before then. I'm just picking a random, date there. But right now, we're so early on in the season. Like, what would the message be to Devin Booker if it's just, hey, Book, we're playing all the, yes, we could have won this game, but we're going to play all the kids. So, we'll take the L on this one. I don't think that's where they want to be either, because they want to show Book that we're going to build this team up and we are going to build a winner. Your faith in us is going to be rewarded. This is going somewhere. We are going to win games. And we see it in Utah. Lauri Markkanen is not thrilled to be tanking for multiple years. That's not fun. And so this early on in the season, I get why the Suns are playing their guys that they think are going to help them win. And then if the point comes where the record is what it is and they need to pivot away from that, then they'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I soapbox rant for a moment here? I hate what ESPN did to the box scores. Like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, I do too.
Stupid.
It's driving me insane.
It's terrible. Like, change it back as soon as you can.
Everybody
hate
used to it
this.
the way that it was, putting the minutes first, then points, and then putting the percentages on the other side.
Yeah, I
This
hate
is
it.
awful. It's
Got to
driving me
be all
crazy on the
driven
post-game
by
shows.
fantasy and like gambling stuff because that's people want to be able to see the counting stats first, but change it back. It's garbage.
They had the cleanest, I thought, box score,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
I'm at a point where I'm gonna have to move on from
Yeah,
that
I use the
and
NBA
go to
ones
something
now.
else. Yeah,
They
I'm
don't
gonna have to go.
update quite as quickly, but
That's why I use the ESPN
yeah.
one, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to switch over to use the NBA ones.
Yeah.
The last thing while we're on the Suns, what are your thoughts on Bradley Beal getting booed in Phoenix?
Yeah, I don't know. It feels a
Was
little
that
unfair.
weird?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine Kevin Durant's going to hear it too when he comes. It just none of that went the way they wanted it to go. So,
but was that like? I'm trying to. Am I misremembering something? Because I thought Bradley Beal spoke very highly about. Now he had some comments about the coaches, but I thought he spoke very highly about Phoenix and his family liking it there and all of that. Like, was any of that Brad Beal doing things to make life difficult on the Suns?
Yeah, I think this is fans saying you weren't good when we traded for you. You gave us a whole lot of money, or we gave you a whole lot of money rather. Wasn't good. And then you wouldn't approve a trade, so we had to waive and stretch you. So I think it was just, let's get all of our frustration out on him. And I bet next time he plays there, it'll be like a smattering of boos, but you won't hear anything.
Yeah.
Super loud. So.
All right, let's go. I mean, I just didn't think it was that contentious of an exit there. All right, why do people dismiss the idea of Ja Morant to Brooklyn? Because Brooklyn's not ready for that.
Yeah, and they drafted 4 primary on-ball guys in the draft in the first round this year with Yegor Jemin, Nolan Traore, Ben Soroff, and even Danny Wolf's best skill is his playmaking as a big man. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I would definitely not do that if I was the Nets. That's not where I want to go.
And if Ja Morant doesn't have joy right now playing in Memphis, playing on the rebuilding Nets would probably not be a very joyful experience either.
For that. Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go here. Can you guys talk about Cade Cunningham? I love Cade Cunningham. What a positive player to focus on in basketball. Keith, I think it is a shame that Cade Cunningham isn't in the same conversations that Anthony Edwards is in. That's how highly I view Cade Cunningham. And I think that most won't. Most would put Ant ahead of him, but I think there's a lot to like about Cade's game. You look at what he's doing this season, 25 points per game. You look at the 3-point shooting. I believe that will come up back to closer to the levels, but 9.6 assists, 4.4 rebounds. He is a star in this league.
Yeah, the efficiency's not there right now because they don't have the other guys around him on the offensive end to help him and to give him guys who can draw the attention away and open up the floor. When they get someone like Jaden Ivey back, I think that will swing things a little bit differently, but he's still productive every night. He makes big shots throughout the course of games. He's getting himself to the free throw line. All those things matter. Cade Cunningham is a full-blown superstar for me. No questions asked. I think he's great.
And the Pistons are the 2 seed right now. Look at the East. As we all expected, the Chicago Bulls, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Detroit Pistons, the number 2 seed, the Knicks and the Cavs slotting in behind them. I love the early season, like 1 win, 1 loss just sends you skyrocketing or plummeting in the standings and bounces you all over the place. So much fun.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wrote about this on the Basketball Bulletin when I wrote about like surprising stats from the early part of the season. I wrote how we had a running joke when I was a kid growing up that if a guy hit an opening day home run, like he's on pace for 162 this year. That'll be a record. And like it's always fun to overreact a little bit to opening stuff.
All right, let's go here while we're on the Bulls. Thoughts on the Bulls? Of course, this isn't sustainable, but are they just a better team than we all thought? The results of East competition. Keep up the great work, front office show. I like that he's saying, of course, this, you're not going to win at a 6-1 pace all season long. Of course, that's not sustainable. Do you buy the Bulls as being better than where we would have slotted them, which would be probably a play-in team going into the season?
Yeah, definitely. I think they are a better team. I'm going to note again, look at 5 home games so far out of their first 7. Let's see what it happens when they start playing more road games. Younger teams tend to play better at home than on the road. And that is coming now. I think we're getting into a bunch of road games coming up here, but I mean, it's great. Like win them where you have to. I think they're a fun team. I think they're fully committed to Billy Donovan's style. As some of the stuff regresses, they're gonna get Kobe White back in the lineup. Sounds like we're about a week or so away from that happening. So that's going to be big because he's a really good player who's really going to help them. But yeah, I mean, let's see where it goes. But I think I think they're a play-in tournament team when all is said and done. I think they'll fall enough and other teams will start playing better. But it's funny because I think Bulls fans are going to be like, wait, no, like that's not what we want to be. But I think that's where we're headed to.
Big test coming up these next 3 games. We've got tonight at Milwaukee, tomorrow at Cleveland, and then versus San Antonio on Monday. This is a big weekend for Chicago. You emerge from this weekend 2-3. I'm sorry, I mean 2-1. Okay, all right. Like we're talking here.
Yeah,
you go 1-2, 0-3. You're like, oh, okay, maybe they are what we thought they were. You know what I mean? Like this is a big 3-game test here for them.
Yeah, and then it sounds like after that Detroit game is when Kobe White will be back. If you're looking on the screen, that's about mid-November, about a little over a week from now. They've got a stretch of 3 days off. They're going to get him in full contact practices and all that, and that's something he's going to need to do before they put him back on the floor. He spoke about it the other day that he pushed it a little too hard after having what was a very minor calf injury, it sounds like. Then he pushed really hard to be ready for opening night, and that caused him issues. So now I think we're back into a place where, now he's starting to really ramp up and be ready for a return. I love Kobe White. He's like, and I didn't know, I was not a Kobe White fan early on, but I was like, this guy stinks.
And I guess it really could be, we could call it a 4-game stretch because Detroit right there too. But just in terms of weekend basketball watching. Ellison said NBA saying teams in the new NBA Europe League could qualify by winning either FIBA's Basketball Champions League or through their domestic leagues in Europe. Would that be rotating by year? I have no idea on that. Do you have a sense of what that
it sounds like they want to do that, like similar to how it works with like the Champions League and those kind of things with some. It's not straight promotion relegation because the European League is not going to be one domestic league. It's going to be teams kind of coming up and down, but that's going to involve then these other leagues being on board with that's where they go to versus through to EuroLeague and those kind of things. So I think it's going to be, really something where they're going to have to be kind of, this is probably going to take steps and years to get to whatever its final form is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go here. Tony said, hello and greetings from the Czech Republic. Well, welcome in from the Czech Republic.
Isn't it Czechia now? Like, didn't they change that? I thought they did. I don't know. Tell us, Tony.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Just tuned in. What should the Jazz do now that Walker Kessler is out? Nurk alert. Just unleash the Nurkic.
Yeah.
I'm all in on a tank for one more year. I mean, Kyle Filipowski obviously will have something to say about that as well. I do think ultimately that the tank will rev up its engines in Utah, but kind of like with the Suns, to a different degree. But in the meantime, try to win games right now and see what happens.
Yeah, I think it is. What is interesting here, I think, is silver lining. Nurkic maybe plays well enough to get traded and they can move him for something. It's not going to be any kind of overwhelming return, but just add another maybe couple seconds to your pick pile. Like, great. And then you just kind of keep it moving. But yeah, I think they're going to probably move on from a handful of the veteran guys and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's good for now, right? Just play it out and see where it comes. It's people who get stressed out about wins in the beginning of the year. There's plenty of time to pile up losses. Like, I'm not going to get too upset about that.
All right, let's go. For each of you, do you believe Thomas Isalo, who has been a wildly successful coach in Europe, can have similar success in the NBA?
think he can. I think it needs to come quickly. Like anytime it's a college coach or a international coach, if it doesn't come quickly, people just instantly they're out and they just don't want to. They'll believe it's not going to come. So I think you gotta kind of get it moving in the right direction sooner rather than later.
And the strategy in question is shorter minutes, faster substitutions, and trying to keep fresh players on the floor at all times so they're going 100 miles an hour, 100% all game. And the counter argument that was made during, I think it was in the ESPN piece today on this situation was, it was either GM or exec, I forget which, but said something to the effect of, that may work in Europe, but in the NBA, I'm still going to land on the team that plays their best players the majority of the time is going to win. So if you're playing your best guys 30 minutes a night and constantly subbing in and out to keep fresher players on the floor, and your opponent is playing Giannis Antetokounmpo 37 minutes a night, they're going to believe that the team playing the stars the most is going to win. And I tend to agree with that the gap between a superstar in the NBA and a fresh role player, even a tired superstar and a fresh role player, there's still too much of a gap there for the constant substitution thing to ultimately work, as long as you do have that top end talent on your team.
Yeah. And I think there's something we said for the difference between a 40-minute game and a 48-minute game too. Like you have to manage through each of them very differently. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. What head coaches have you been impressed with so far this year? As a Lakers fan, I think JJ has been great. JJ has been great. He's done a nice job. Good. Done really well.
All the injuries they've had, like, and hey, I think I said it to you, like, I'm going to ask Laker fans when you lose some weird bad loss in January,
the sky will be falling.
But remember the win you had when, like, it was you and the rest of the Lakers Nation crew coming off the bench. Like, it's like you shouldn't have got that win, and that it all balances out in the end. But all right, other coaches that
I want to give he gets plenty of praise already, but Eric Spoelstra, with the way he shifted things in Miami, I think that's been one of the interesting subplots this season.
Changing the way he's ever had that
exactly.
Play. Yeah.
Yep.
Big time. I think Darko Rajakovic has done a nice job with a weird roster in Toronto. They're 4-4, but I think they're playing interesting ball. I think Nick Nurse. I'm not always the biggest Nick Nurse fan, but I think managing through almost having to coach kind of two different teams when Embiid is on the floor and when he's not. That's been kind of interesting. With that, we know Spoelstra has somebody, but he's the head coach. If he doesn't want to play fast, they're not going to play fast. He brought in a different offense, but that's also more in the half court than it is
correct
the pace stuff. I think in the West, I mean, it's like no one's going to want to give him credit because it's like, okay, cool, you're the champs. But Mark Daigneault has that team flying. Again,
and that's with injuries.
With a ton of injuries. So, there's just some, here early that jumped to mind.
Yeah, I mean, like when we talk about AJ Mitchell and the success that he's had, I'm like, holy crap, OKC has another guy now, right? Like, how much credit do you put? I mean, a lot of people put that on the front office for finding these players, but you got to give credit to the coaching staff too for developing these guys.
I will tell you exactly what they'll say. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Like they would say it's everyone. It's the coaches, it's the players, it's the front office. Front office finding the guys, the players putting in the time and the effort to get better, and then the coaching staff coaching them up. Like they are as cohesive from top to bottom organization as there is in the NBA, and that's why why they are who they are.
All right, let's go here. Luke said, "How can the Mavs save their season?"
I don't know if you do. I think just
part of it is getting Kyrie back, having guys be healthy. Part of it too, but it's been kind of a. Now there's talk about maybe do they look to trade Klay Thompson? Do they look to make other moves? Could Daniel Gafford be on the move? They already moved Klay out of the starting lineup in favor of D'Angelo Russell to try to get this, abomination of an offense to get going. Yeah, maybe they're just the team that falls this year.
Yeah, I think you play it out, see where you're at when guys are back, and if you're in position to make a run, you make a run. Otherwise, kind of let it go. Would it be the worst? They have their own pick this year. Would it be the worst thing to add another high pick to Cooper Flag? Now think of the
Yes,
optionality
it
you
would.
have. Right? Well, yeah, for everybody in the West,
It,
sure.
no. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying it would be the worst because the gamble of the Luka trade was we're going to win right now. Was the
Yeah,
window is now.
sure.
We're building around all of this. And to then pivot from that to okay, now we have to tank. And
I think so. This is a good philosophical piece on this, like good place for this discussion. I think the single biggest issue in the NBA is crying over spilled milk. Like it's done. We'll move. It's done. Now we've set up. You got to move forward. You can't.
it's a different
You can't-
world than the one we lived in 30 seconds ago.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, you can't. You just can't stay anchored to where you like. Yeah, this was our plan. I mean, it's ridiculous that his whole thing of like you guys didn't see the plan.
Exactly. That's my thing.
That's
you can't then point to it and say, well, you didn't see the vision.
Yeah.
Well,
that's dumb. But yeah, I mean, if it's like if let's say by the time Kyrie's back, they're in 12th place in the West, and they're 6 games out of the play-in tournament. I don't know if they would be. That's probably a law by the time he's back, but somewhere in that range. Like, are you going to be like, all right, let's go, Kyrie, 40 minutes a night, AD, 40 minutes a night, try to make that up? I think you just kind of deal with what it is and go. And I see some of the people saying like can't do anything until they get rid of Nico. Okay, that's fine, but he's not going anywhere. So, for me, it's like just adjust to the reality you're living in. It's not going. I think they thought Cooper Flag comes in, we're going to play these giant lineups, and we're going to be fine. We'll be 500 until Kyrie gets back. Then Kyrie gets back. We'll play slightly above 500 ball the rest of the way.
Playoffs off we go.
Yeah, in the playoffs. And by the time we get to the playoffs, we'll be a dangerous team. It's just that's not how it's gone so far.
And yeah, folks in the chat mentioning it, PJ Washington not trade eligible.
Yeah, can't be traded. Yep.
So,
yep.
Kevin said Derek Queen actually looks decent, but the trade is still bad. Keith, I was thinking about this. Like, one of the worst things that could happen to Derek Queen in that draft was what happened, because now forever from that, he will be remembered as if that pick turns out to be a great pick next year. It's going to be Derek Queen everything he does is going to be viewed through the lens of is he worth giving up next year's first round pick for? And that's a really tough spot for a young player to be in.
Yeah, and another pick they gave up too to do that, right?
Yes.
It was a pick to move up, pick to move up plus another pick. This is very similar to the Lucas situation. If the Mavericks, like even outside of the Cooper Flag stuff, but like AD went there and they were awesome, still doesn't mean it was a good trade. Like the process was still bad. You still did not get enough. You can't like I'm big on process and results. Like for any trying to get to where you want to be, like both need to be really solid. But yeah, I've been a big Derek Queen fan from a while. This another kid out of Montverde Academy that I saw play quite a bit. I know he's good. I think he's gonna be really good. I don't think he's gonna be very good with Zion. I think that's just a really terrible fit, but we'll go from there. So
all right. Javi says, what do you think about, or is it Javi? What do you think about Clay? There's been a clear drop, but I think it's more of a mental block. What about Clay and Najee for Gabe, Dalton, and Vando? Well, before we get to that trade, Clay had some comments after last game. Actually shot the ball well and felt like he was back into a rhythm.
Yep.
So I think, we are burying Clay a bit too early. This is the classic, the Monty Python sketch, the I'm not dead yet, right, of it all. I think he's going to be just fine. I think that shooting is a non-sticky stat. There are ebbs and flows to it, and it's possible he was just in a bit of a slump. Said he feels like he's got his legs under him now, so let's not prematurely write off Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know why. It always feels weird when a guy has a slump. Like mid-season, we're like, okay, it's just a mid-season slump. Right. But if a guy has a slump in October and November, it's like, oh no, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Sometimes the slump just hits at a different time. Now, yeah, if we're like, because this is going on with Derrick White in Boston right now. He just is not, he can't make a shot. And yeah, if he can't make a shot when we get to January, like, okay, what's going on here? If it's like if he's back to being Derrick White, okay, it was just a slump. Like it, slumps happen when they happen. But yeah, as far as that trade value, I would not do that if I was Dallas. That's not good value. I would say no.
Yeah, I mean, Dalton Connect is value, but other than that, and that's not even a lot of value. Vando, though, the long-term salary there is what teams wouldn't want with Jared Vanderbilt. And then it's just an expiring contract.
Clay and Najee, like that's probably in separate trades get you better value where like you're not packaging them together.
Right. Yeah. All right. Connect in a second for Jeremiah Fears. I can't imagine the
Pelicans would hang up the phone and be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, but they're not gonna. They're not going to. By the way, I am testing the Pelicans for sure, and I'm calling them and seeing if they will do something else that you don't think is very smart. But yeah, I'm not. I can't imagine the Pelicans would do that. Logan, what are your thoughts on possible trades for
this yesterday?
Morant? Yeah, we talked about it a bit, but it's tough finding the right landing spot for him. It's tough, not easy.
It's funny. The teams who need point guards right now really need point guards, and the teams who don't really don't. Like it's like it's like everybody's either getting an abundance of ball handling or they are like gotta get rid of these guys. So
can players be traded back to their previous teams? Drew got traded to Portland from Boston. Can he get traded back to Boston again? Yeah, it's got to be a year, right?
Yep. Gotta wait a year before you can do that.
All right. Kenneth Smith, Clay to the Lakers. Is it possible? Do we want him? I think, Keith, that Kenneth here is sending Clay to the wrong LA team.
Oh.
Clay to the Clippers because you got to collect them all. Anytime you can get a bunch of players that are 35 or older, you got to do it. You got to do it.
Give a Clippers rant. Why is Bogdan Bogdanović not playing regular minutes? Like, what are we doing? He's good. Like, he played last night, but when they have their guys, he doesn't play. Like, if you go look, he's a ton of DNP CDs this year. And I keep asking, like, the Clippers reporters, I'm like, there's nothing health-wise? And they're like, nope, it's just not playing. Like, I don't get it. Like, he's
got 20 minutes, but they had a bunch of injuries last year, or they had no Kawhi. Yeah, he's only played in, 4 games so far this year? And one of those games he played 9 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Not getting a lot of run there. Do the Clippers just look kind of old to you?
Kind of. Yeah, very old.
Right. I mean,
I'm out. I'm done again. I'm done. Like, don't next year when I start saying stupid stuff like maybe the Clippers be like, no, idiot, don't do it again.
They were fine like at halftime, but then they lost the third 40-23.
Yeah.
And that was basically the game.
Yeah, I'm super out on them. Like, no, see you later. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 100 times. I'm an idiot. So we'll move on.
Should the Clippers have interest in Ja Morant?
I don't know.
Given their draft pick situation, we know they can pivot the team in 2027.
Interesting.
They may have pivot points this next summer, but if they go full tank mode, they don't have their picks here for the control of their picks in the future. So should that be a consideration for them?
I don't hate that idea. I would rather wait, see what does the offseason bring, and then you could always do it then and use a chunk of your cap space to acquire Ja Morant that way. I mean, if it didn't come at a very big cost,
then your future backbone of your team is Ja and Zubats, and then you're moving forward with that. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing either.
I mean, it's not. If Ja could be Ja again, like that's
right. Yeah,
all right. I can.
That would be it. Like the Clippers would have to say, we can get Ja back to being Ja Morant, and then it would make some sense. All right. Sven said,
somebody's saying Zubats is falling way off. I don't. I think he's been fine. I don't he's playing a little less, but that's because they have a actual backup with Brook Lopez.
Maxey and Dalton Connect, and a second or a first for Jarris Walker and Isaiah Jackson from the Pacers. I don't know that.
I wouldn't.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think I would do the first if I'm the Lakers, and if it's the second, I wouldn't do it for the Pacers.
Yeah, when I said no, I didn't see the first part in there. Yeah, you do the first, that's too much on the Lakers side. You do it without that, that's too much on the Pacers side. So I wouldn't do that.
Kevin, the question you just answered, is he the most declined player of the season?
Yeah.
And then let's go here. How likely is it Derrick White gets moved, and where would you like to see him go if he does? I'd like to see him on the Rockets.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he gets traded. I think Boston is looking for when Jason Tatum comes back. Whenever that is, they want guys there that are ready to be good again. And that's Derrick White is a big part of that. I've seen somebody's now asking, I guess Simmons suggested trading Derrick White. I've seen some people say, yeah, cash in now. And Derrick White he's not 25, right? He's in I think he's 30 now or 31. So but again, they don't want Jason Tatum walking back in and being like, guys, what's going on here? They intend when he comes back, and when he's really back is more what I'm getting at. But when he's really back and he's Jason Tatum again, that they are, off and running. So
yeah, he's 31, and when people see a player missing shots, he's 32% from the field, 27% from three. The knee-jerk reaction tends to be trade this guy, and we see it all the time. I hear it all the time from Lakers fans. In fact, I had a comment the other day that I don't know why I'm remembering this one because usually I don't remember him, but said Jared Vanderbilt is terrible. Trade him. Well, if he's terrible, who's going to want him?
Yeah,
right. We get to that point where a player's not playing well. Quick, trade the guy, and sometimes that's where patience is required to allow things to settle and the player to bounce back. And all of that. I always fall back on, what do we believe? Do we believe that it is reasonable that Derrick White has simply lost the ability to shoot? And he is now, what he is a 27% 3-point shooter, and that is what he will be. If that is what you believe, then absolutely trade him before other people catch on to that. But I don't think it's reasonable to believe that. I believe that water finds its level, and that ultimately the numbers will come back to where they should be.
Well, and I'm going to pull this one up. D. White and Pritchard have been disappointing. They have been, but this is the example of it's not easy to level up in the NBA. They are taking a lot harder shots this year without Jason Tatum in the lineup because they are having to do a lot of off the dribble stuff, a lot of self-created shots. The game is harder when you subtract the superstar, and the guys who can level up. Like, for example, I know this is controversial and people are still going to think I'm playing to you here, but we've seen Austin Reeves can level his game up and be a primary on-ball guy. Not everybody else can do that. And I'm not saying that makes Austin Reeves better than Derrick White, because the difference between them defensively is bigger than the difference between them offensively. But he's not a primary or secondary offensive option, and that's fine. Not everybody can be. Jaylen Brown is fine. Jaylen Brown is doing his thing. He's scoring. He's actually scoring fairly efficiently. But yeah, we're in a spot where I think now we know, all right, Derrick White is the third or fourth option. You're really good. You probably feel really good about your team. When he's your second guy, he's just not. That's the difference.
Well, and that's like if you asked, it's like asking Alex Caruso to take on a bigger offensive role. That's probably not going to go very well, right? And so that's just not in the skill set of something. If you ask Malik Monk to take on a bigger offensive role, he could do that. If you ask him to lead your defense, probably not going to happen. So it's just different skill sets is all.
Yep. Yeah. It's just, some guys can do it. Some guys can. And what's important for a guy like Austin and for Derrick White, is being able to perform well when you are the third option or the fourth option. That's equally as important. And not everybody can do that either. Some guys, we've seen that. We've seen guys end up out of the league because they can't adjust to, I'm not that guy anymore. Sometimes I've never been that guy. So it is what it is. It's disappointing, sure, but there's perfectly valid reasons for why that. I'll say this too. he's not going to be a 27% 3-point shooter and a 32% shooter all year.
No.
It goes back to what I said. I think he's in a slump, and I think he's in a slump, but I don't think it's going to be 44%, 38% either. It's probably going to be more like
the quality
40s and mid 30s.
Yes.
Like, yeah, they're just difficult looks now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this wound up being a pretty. Oh, did I miss one? Oh, no, I didn't. I got it. Okay. Sorry. I thought
I'll just answer this real quick. Danny Wolf has played 4 minutes. His time will come when the Nets are really like, we're not even going to play some of the older players under contract. But yeah, what I was told is he's just got a long way to go defensively. So I said it I tried to say it at the very top of the show, but I was muted like an idiot. G League season starts tonight. Some of these guys are going to be, that's where you're going to see them playing quite a bit is in the G League.
And nothing wrong with that. That's a lot of players.
Go down there, kick butt, do good work, and get your minutes, right?
Yep.
That's part of it.
Go down there, kick butt, chew bubble gum. Don't bring any bubble gum with you. I don't know. All right, everybody.
All out of bubble gum.
I appreciate all of you for hanging out with us today for Front Office Friday. Make sure you do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Till next time, everybody.
Oh, Monday. We should talk about Monday. Monday night.
Oh,
yeah. Before we leave.
Is coming up so fast. I completely forgot about it.
So Monday night.
I'm like, what is Monday? Oh, yeah.
Monday night, Trevor and I have a really cool opportunity with the NBA. If you have NBA League Pass and you go online and you click Strategy Stream, you can watch the Hawks Clippers game with us. And we're going to do kind of a combo of play-by-play and Front Office Friday-ish kind of stuff. We're going to talk, a lot of stuff about how the teams were built and some of the things we've seen from the team. We'll obviously be talking about the game itself as it plays out, but we're really excited for that opportunity. So if you're an NBA League Pass subscriber, you go in, whether using the app or desktop or whatever, go in, pick Strategy Stream when you pick that game, and you'll find us, and you can join us for the game and submit questions, and we'll have some polls and some other fun stuff. We got kind of the lowdown this week about everything. So we're really excited about this.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing that game Monday night for the NBA on League Pass. And you get to come in and have us ask about why Bogdanovich isn't playing more and things like that in that big Clippers Hawks matchup. So yeah, come hang out with us on Monday night. All right, everybody, from there till next time. See ya. And stay safe.